I'm really excited to make today's video. We are talking about the 30 best upgrades that you could do for your board gaming hobby. These are pan-applicable upgrades. They could be game specific. They could be creating a whole other hobby for yourself. They could be small in price or large in price. But all throughout October, we were having a tournament, a deathmatch tournament on these board gaming accessories and upgrades. And I'm excited to go through and announce the results. But also, I thought that this could work as a Christmas potential board game ideas buyer's guide. That's a catchy phrase. The Christmas potential board game ideas buyer's guide. Colon, that aren't more games. Colon, but also they fight to the death. Colon, cordially yours, Chris George, and Room and Board Patreons. So here, this is the list. This is the list of board game accessories that we're going to be talking about. And we're going to go through, talk about each one, talk about who these might be for and what you could apply them for and why people like them. And then we're going to see which one came out on top. Determining the best board game accessory, the best deluxification, the best thing you could ever have to add to your board gaming experience. And you'll see why I phrased it like that when we get to the end of the video. Round one, we have Plastibands versus a Laminator. Odd things to start off a list with, for sure. But these Plastibands I have purchased myself. Oh, I got rid of the package, but mainly it was because everybody kept on making fun of me for using elastic bands in all of my videos, and they were like, Chris, you're a monster. I said, you're just figuring that out now? This should have been your first tip. But these Plastibands, they work just like elastic bands, but they are made of plastic. Or they're not made of plastic, they're made of eco-friendly, because it's this conserve. They say they're good for the environment. I don't know why they're good for the environment, maybe because they're latex free. But yeah, I have seen no issues with them. The thing about these that's a bit weird is that they get stretched out really quickly, but not to the point where they are not usable as well. Like I double band my cards generally. And so having sat in the double band, now when I take it out, I'm like, oh, this feels like it's not going to work anymore. But they've been very consistent, and I have yet to have any of these break. Like I don't live in a very humid climate. I think people who live in humid climates should think about this, because then the elastics can disintegrate onto the cards. I've only ever had that happen to, I don't know, maybe 2 games that I have, and it, like, the elastic disintegrated, but it didn't leave any residue on the cards as well. And this is for games that I've had for, 14 plus years. So I've never really been concerned about getting these specific plastic bands, but people talked about these a lot and said, you have to get these, they're so important to get. And so I picked up a copy from Amazon. It was like 20 bucks for a big pack, so obviously more expensive, but I am enjoying using them so far. If you want a stocking stuffer, maybe this is the one to go. This is going to lose this matchup, though. Everybody voted for a Laminator over the Plastibands, and I think a Laminator is a cool idea, because you can have, if you have any games, I'm too lazy to laminate anything, but if you have any games that are roll-and writes that you want to create into like laminated dry erase versions, it's very doable. You can turn any roll and write into a little bit more of a premium experience. Or if there are any, like, you could laminate one single score sheet and then just write it down rather than having a bunch of paper. If you find that you're playing games a lot, honestly, I don't even use score sheets anymore because I have BGStats, which we'll talk about later on in the list. I used to love having a score sheet pad. When I would get a game secondhand and didn't have the score pad in there, I'd go, oh, and be very upset about it. But yeah, I see the benefits of a Laminator, of just preserving those sorts of components that aren't very good. Or if you get a lower quality game too, like I just put out, Great Western Trail's fine, but I just put out a review on Great Western Trail El Paso, and their player boards were just like kind of flimsy. So if you have any flimsy things that you're worried are going to get torn or ripped or whatever, you can use the Laminator, and you can get a pretty cheap one too. Like this friggin', I guess the laminating sheets that cost the most, but the fact that you get one for like 25 bucks, not bad. Obviously, I think pretty specific. Yeah, getting either of these as Christmas gifts, you're like, you gave me elastic bands, okay. But direct them to this video. I think that could be like a stocking stuffer, or you could ask about a Laminator if they want to have the potential time investment that it would take to have this in their space, and if they would actually use it, if we're looking for Christmas gifts specifically, which I think is a good way to frame this video as well, in terms of like deluxifications, or adding what is the most important deluxification that you could get for a game, I think is interesting when we're talking about crowdfunding specifically. But yeah, everybody voted. 4 people voted for Lamp as a callback to last month's Deathmatch, but maybe they just meant the Laminator. They might go for a Laminator over a Laminator. 3 people voted for Plastibands. And I get that. Like, I like mine. I think they're fine, but I also would just be fine with elastics. But I think if you live in a warmer climate, it's worth considering. And 25 people voted for the Laminator. So pretty overwhelming victory for the Laminator there. Moving on, we have Speedpaints versus a 3D printer. Now, Speedpaints are interesting. Speedpaints are a type of paint that are just contrast paint, or just like a wash, if I understand correctly. And so it's interesting with this speed painting technique. You put a base on it, and then you throw this wash on it, and it immediately makes the minis pop in color. If you are scared about painting, I am a horrible painter. And I have a video on, it seems like I'm just going to be linking to a lot of videos of this, but I have a video on how to paint as well. If you just are getting into it and you are overwhelmed by the thought of like having to paint a ton of detail on minis, there is a possibility where you can just cover things with a wash and make them look really good. Like, I think I have blood rage right above my head. Oh, don't fall. So speed paints are just basically a brand, but where are you? This is what can happen and can change your mini, and it just like really pops detail. I didn't do this as my buddy Zach did it, but he just covers it with a base layer of a primer, and then you just slop this on. And that's it, right? It makes your minis pop, and it helps them stand out on the board as well, especially if you have different like character minis or whatever, which is, you can see the difference because I haven't, we haven't repainted them since I got the extras, like the Blood Rage extras. Like, this is how they looked before, and that's fine with like a little red ring on the base. And I actually like that these aren't just like the standard gray plastic, but like you can see the difference between the two of like having a painted mini versus a not painted mini. Like, all the details sort of pop out. You can see the details on the shield actually pop out, which I think is really cool. So like getting into painting and getting into painting in an easy way, I do have a video for that, and let me express that I'm really bad at painting. Like, I'm awful at it, and it scares me a lot. So just getting a simple thing of speed paints and allowing those washes to happen. Like, you can see all of these minis on this have just been painted one single color, right? And so these speed paints that have come out are potentially really good if you just want to get into painting and you're worried about doing detail work, especially. It's up against what's going to be a dominant force in this deathmatch, which is a 3D printer. From most accounts in my Discord, people really love using the Bamboo 3D printer if you're looking for one, but they're pretty expensive. I got one as a gift, not a Bamboo printer. I got a 3D printer off of Temu as a gift, so like a knockoff one that I haven't opened and had the time to. Oh, I gotta go back to this. And I'll show you then what I was talking about is that each one of these are the minis. You can see that each one of these minis are painted just in one specific color. That's what I was mentioning earlier. But it's up against a 3D printer. I have a 3D printer that's been in a box that I'm scared of. And it's not really that I'm scared of, but I am scared of it. But I don't have the time for it. What I think is nice in terms of, we have a section on our Discord talking about 3D printing and how to 3D print. People were talking about getting printers with a leveler in them. And so not having to worry about the level of your house when you're printing, or have to set up and go through a bunch of trial and error, seems to be really interesting and really exciting. And so a lot of people have really enjoyed the Bamboo 3D printer if you're interested in 3D printing things. And you can 3D print a lot of stuff, and honestly a lot of stuff that's on this list, but you are also creating an entirely new hobby for yourself. So I think in terms of gifts, it was a very thoughtful gift to be sent my way. And part of it was going to be the person who gave it to me was going to help me set it up and like figure out how to use it. And then that just never happened. So I think a 3D printer is really interesting. It's very expensive, and you really want to make sure that the person who you're getting it for is going to have the time and have the interest to fiddle around with it, because it's very fiddly. It's like basically picking up a new hobby. Both of these are basically like, hey, you like your board gaming hobby? Have a different one. Have a different hobby. Paint all your minis. Don't leave them gray. I would go for the 3D the speed paints here personally, because I think I would have a higher chance of doing that to my minis. You know, you spend a day, you take all your minis out, you give them a base coat, and then you just slap a color on them and you say that's the color they're going to be, and it just helps it pop and helps the detail pop. Versus a 3D printer, I think it's going to take me weeks to figure out how to print even one thing, and it's very overwhelming for me, and I don't think I would need a whole month to just set aside to like invest in learning it, and I don't know if I could. But the people in the Discord love 3D printing, and so does 3D printers that move on in a 19-7 vote. So unfortunately, all those people also have to keep their minis gray for the rest of their life. We're moving on to a board game bag, specifically a board game bag like BoardGameTables.com. Sorry, All Play. Oh, a homemade board game bag. Nice. So they obviously turned a suitcase or something. Oh, I was biking to game night. Couldn't fit some larger games in my bag, so I made a duffel style bag. Oh wow, no, they actually sewed it together. Oh, great choices. Beautiful choices. Way to go to bike. But yeah, we have a board game bag. There's a lot of different companies that put out board game bags. I have two of them. I have the BoardGameTables.com bag, and specifically that because I've had it. My parents got it for me for Christmas a while ago. I really, really love it, and it's a good price as well. I also have the Crafting Kingdoms bag as well, which I also like. The thing that I like better about the All Play bag, oh my god, I just said it. They got to me. The thing that I like better about the BoardGameTables.com bag versus the Crafting Kingdoms bag is how it opens. I love that there are pockets on the side of Crafting Kingdoms. I think that's super clutch, and I can absolutely fit more games into Crafting Kingdoms because there is a little bit more give and a little bit more flexibility there with the structure of it. It's less structured, but I like how this one really just opens up from the side. That's clutch, because if it's sitting on the ground at a game night, it doesn't like flop everywhere. It kind of just is very structured. It opens on the side, whereas why can't I go back? Whereas Crafting Kingdoms, when it opens, you kind of have to roll it up at the bottom, and it's more for standing up, which is good because Crafting Kingdoms also comes with a wheelie attachment, which then BoardGameTables.com then added in a wheelie version of their bag. But I've seen the wheelie versions of their bag, and I do like the flexibility of Crafting Kingdoms that you can take the wheelie off, you can take it in and out. Of course, you need to have the storage for it, so it's always like a back and forth between the two. They're very close. A lot of these will do a very similar thing, though, right? Like you can't really go too wrong with it. But for me, I give the edge a little bit to the BoardGameTables.com bag because I find myself grabbing it more because I find it firm, easier to manage. Now, to be fair, though, I only do have the prototype of the Crafting Kingdom, so I never got one that was the final quality. They just sent it to me. I did a review video for Rado. This one right here, which is just why you should buy a board gaming bag as well. I really shouldn't have filmed this with a front-facing camera. That was my bad. But yeah, you can see that it covers a lot of ground. That's all I'm trying to say, is that a board game table covers a lot of ground. A board game bag, rather. Anyway, my point is, this is maybe my favorite part of the list. This was when I did this type of video. I said 10 gifts to get for board gamers for Christmas that aren't more games. This was my number one. It still is. I've gotten so much use out of this board game bag. And yeah, it's going to have a tough matchup, though, because my Discord is obsessed with these premium health chips, specifically for any Chip Theory games. So Chip Theory games, they have their basic regular chips, and then they say, no, you want heavier chips, you want that clinkety clackety weight going on, well, you can spend $60 on a bunch more chips. It is certainly not worth it, and this is the vote to determine that. If the chips beat the board game tables bag, then I will have to admit that the premium health chips are worth it. But let me check our results here. And even with the extra votes, it's the board game bag that moves forward in an 18 to 17 vote. You were so close, premium health chip lovers, but unfortunately, they couldn't even get out of the first round. They aren't beneficial. You shouldn't get them. Chip Theory's quality is fine as it is, and you don't need the heavy weight, as we have now all determined. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next one on the list. Next one on the list is screen-printed Meeples, or stickered Meeples, taking on just a bunch of little baggies. Now, I think when you get into the board gaming hobby, the first thing you go out and do, maybe this is just my personal experience, but the first thing you go out and do is you go to the dollar store and you just buy a bunch of little varied baggies. And it was one of my favorite things to receive in a stocking was just different sizes of bags. And then I labeled the different sizes of bags and I put them in different bags so that I had a small and a medium small and a medium large and a large and an extra large. And I have those options as my bags. Now, I have since sort of moved beyond that for bins, which we'll talk about later on. But I think like having these for storing components and just having that variability is great. You're going to pick up a lot of these in your board games, but sometimes they just give you a pan-applicable size of bag. And for me, it's like all about the size. The size does matter because you want a size that fits the components so that you have like a nice, perfectly organized. If you're organizing something with bags, you want to have like all your components, if they fit into here, you don't want a bag that's like this size, right? You just want a bag that's this size. So they fit in and then they can nestle nicely as their little ziplocked section in the box so that when you open the box, you don't see a bunch of excess plastic, right? Like that's the key to using plastic bags effectively is you make sure that the size of the components of what you're putting in is positive. And I have this rule. My rule is that if they are like player pieces, they always go into Ziploc baggies. And if they are a bank of some sort, they always go into bins. So anything that you're not going to pull the full amount out of should stay in a bin more because you can then have it as a bank, right? You have your little bin of coins and you take a coin and you put a coin back. For baggies, it's like, hey, here's all your player pieces. So anyway, I still like Ziploc bags. They're up against screen printed Meeples, and this I put in more as like a conversation of when we're talking about crowdfunding, when we're talking about deluxifying, oftentimes you will see like the difference from the standard version to the deluxe version. The only difference there's a few differences, but one of the only differences is cooler Meeples, cooler playing pieces, cooler screen printed stuff or stickers that you put on to make your wooden pieces pop a little bit more on the board. There are ways and there are other ways out there to improve upon your Meeples. And so I really like talking about this because if you're thinking about a person who you know who has 200 games and you're like, I don't want to get them another game, what you could do is you could look at their favorite games, at their pieces, and see if there are ways to upgrade those specific pieces. If they're like little Meeples, maybe you get like screen printed Meeples and just gives them an extra little fancy thing that can upgrade it. We'll talk about other ways to upgrade fancy things moving on the list, but I thought that was a potential here, talking about just like upgrading it to give it that sensation, right? And you'll see a lot of games incorporate that into the components themselves. And yeah, so obviously it's going to beat Ziploc baggies, I'm pretty sure, but I love Ziplocky baggies. And it's proven if you don't add Ziploc bags, your company is more likely to fail in your board game. If there aren't Ziploc baggies in your board game when it needs them, your company's more likely to fail. If we look at Come On, that it's 1-1. Yeah, okay, let's move on. Sorry, Ziploc bags. You lose in a 14-8 vote. Next up, we have card sleeves taking on card holders. And so this one, people love their sleeves, right? A really nice stocking stuffer is, for people who love sleeves, is probably more sleeves, unless they auto get every sleeve that they could ever need whenever they buy a game for some strange reason. I was talking to people in the Discord. Some people said Sleeve Kings, but more people said Game Genic and Dragon Shield sleeves in terms of the best quality sleeves to keep your cards nice and crispy. I don't use sleeves at all. I'll never use sleeves. That's not true. I use sleeves for my social deduction games because those are the ones that matter if the cards get a little bit damaged because they actually convey information. Everything else, I am a very good shuffler. I don't bend my cards. I don't destroy them. And I can't shuffle with sleeves. I can't pick up a card deck and just shuffle them all nice and crisp like you want to. I hate sleeves, honestly. I personally hate sleeves, but I know a lot of people like sleeves, and I see the value, especially with the social deduction games, of keeping things in nice, pristine condition. So I understand. I also don't really see the value for a card holder. I find that I actually have 2 card holders, and they're attached to my arms. Um, but some people like them because some people like to have just something that displays all of their cards. If you have a big hand of cards, you want to be looking at the information, you want to be displaying it. And some people also have mobility issues as well. My friggin' thumb has been killing me since the summer, and I don't know why. I probably should get that checked out, but I'll just not do anything about it and hope it heals. So I definitely understand that concept in terms of mobility. Especially there are people in our Discord who brought that up as well. That card holders actually help with those accessibility needs, which is huge. Like if you've had an accident or you have arthritis or you're somewhat paralyzed in your hands, these can be a godsend in terms of helping to play the game and interact with the game, especially if it's constantly like holding a hand of cards or shuffling. Like a lot of card games, it's just a hand of cards and you're choosing when to play the cards, right? In a card management style. And so you don't really need to worry about doing that much with the cards other than just having them up there. And this is also why a lot of board game tables, which weren't included as part of this deathmatch tournament because it's too expensive. But this is why a lot of board game tables have these built in just automatically into the rails system so that you have a spot to put your cards because mobility is a real thing. So if you have people who are potentially older in your life as well, who you want to play games with, yeah, it might be a good thing to grab just to have on hand. But it is the card sleeves that win in 18 to 17 votes, a very close vote. A lot of people voting in favor of accessibility, but also people are scared of damaging, of things damaging their cards. When I say, well, if your cards get so damaged, you could buy another copy of the game and you'd actually save money because you've been spending so much money on card sleeves, and I haven't needed to rebuy any copy other than Coup, which is now the thing that I sleeve because people spilled drinks on it. But it was like a $12 game, so sure. And we were still able to make it work for like years afterwards. And I didn't rebuy it. I just stole it from my friend Rachel, who hates the game, and was like, I never want to play this game again. I said, thank you. I needed an extra copy. But yeah, I understand sleeving. It's just not for me, but it does move forward. I almost closed the link. No, card sleeves die and don't move forward. Next up, we have dry erase boards for taking on a Kallax or Kallax shelves. I contemplated not putting Kallax shelves in here, again, because of the expense, but if you had a 3D printer in here, we can put shelving in here as well. Having a board game specific shelf is really nice. And so many companies now create their box size exclusively for the Kallax. The Kallax has been created in a way to, to hold board games. It used to be the Expedit, was the previous IKEA brand, but now they have the Kallax. I think there are potentially better options than a Kallax. I was fortunate enough to have, I used to have Kallaxes and then upgraded to just more standard shelving. And what's nice is that these sections then give you space for games, right? If you're able to have a full shelf across. Of course, the benefit of the Kallax is that you can go to IKEA, you can pick up one, you can build it, you know your board games will fit, it displays nicely, they're good proportion for board gaming, and you don't really have to worry about it after that. But yeah, having a nice shelf, like specific shelf to display your games, part of my enjoyment of life really is I can look at my shelf and I can think about all the good times I could have with the stuff on my shelf. It's silly, but it's not. It's we all are really passionate about board gaming, and so like having them or having a section on display of your favorites or the prettiest ones or whatever can be really exciting and really calming sometimes. So yeah, any shelf, the Kallaxes or otherwise, can be a really, really nice and really, really thoughtful gift. It's up against a dry erase board. I'm not sure why the dry erase board was put forward. honestly. People are saying that dry erase boards only make sense for game design. So if you're sketching out additional things and you want to be able to change things on the fly, I could see that being a good call for a dry erase board. I don't really see the point, but especially if you're the type of person who has games all over your floor, a shelf is a better option. And if you have games all over your floor and you've taken up all of your shelves, well then you should get either more shelves or you should get rid of some of those games. Not saying any names, not calling anyone out, not wanting to ruin anybody's day or make it the worst day at their job. But if any of these ghosts, wait, sorry, that's a different sketch. If you have things scattered all over your floor, a shelf is a nice way to make things seem more organized rather than just carving a path through the boxes. You know, it's like that thing where we do this a lot as humans, I think. Well, I do it a lot, and I am humanity. But like, I have a chair in the way from here to the outside of the room. It's like a chair that I sit in sometimes and can watch TV in. It's a nice chair. It's a bigger chair. It's a it's a chair. It's a chair. It's a chair you sit in. It's an armchair. But oftentimes when I'm doing a lot of like back and forth stuff, or if I'm like, because these boxes behind me set up for WSBG, like those are WSBG games. So if I'm recording WSBG commentary, I like have to put them there, and I rearrange my shelves a little bit. And so oftentimes I'll have like a big back and forth going around, or like setting up additional cameras for shooting things. And I don't move this chair because in my head I can't move this chair. In my head, this is just a thing that I have to walk around. And then I came up one magical day, I was like, oh wait, I can move this chair. And when I moved the chair, I suddenly wasn't stubbing my toe on it. I suddenly wasn't having to go like this to walk by things. And it was very nice. And I realized, oh, you can actually just move things out of your way, and it does make your walking and your life better. So just, I don't know who needs to hear that right now, but if you have multiple boxes on boxes on boxes sitting in front of your shelf or on the floor on the way to your shelf, and you don't have space for them, you can cull games and you can get another shelf. Or if you don't have space for them, don't become a hoarder. Marie Kondo that shit. There are games you don't play, so get them gone or put them much further away if you're never gonna touch them, because if they're just gonna sit there, why are they impacting your mobility and walking through things? I don't know who needs to hear that. No, I'm not saying any names. I'm not saying any names. But yeah, dry erase boards, I was hoping to hear a case for them and I didn't. And so they're eliminated, and I don't really have a case for them. Oh, this was another thing that I looked up, Kallax alternatives, the Fijalking. People liked this as well, so you could check that one out. Feels like it could be pretty neat for storing things. Seems like a good size and less stuff in the middle. So yeah. Okay, next up we've got box bands. I thought this would be a shorter video because I didn't have to talk about games, but I'm talking. It's more. We have box bands taking on sand timers. I think box bands are going to win here. I don't really like box bands either. I'd never use them on my board games. I just accept when they explode all over the place and fall. But it's good for travel, it's good for storage, and you'll see these on pretty much anything in like a big board gaming library because they're moving these games so often. And so if you're often moving the games, like most games I have, the lids stay on, or I pack them in a way that the lids will stay on. And so I'm mindful of that, but I understand that it's easy for things to shift around when traveling, and so people like to have box bands on their games. I find that it kind of muddies up the look of what I want my shelf to look like personally, but this is an option for people who are very specific about their storage and keeps everything tight in as well. You don't have the lid shifting, which then allows the components to shift. Which is a potential. So box bands are there. Sand timers, also you can get them for super cheap if you have people who really love the sand timer rule in code names, or like to enforce a sand timer, or like to enforce a sand timer on themselves if they're having analysis paralysis. I think a sand timer is legit to add to your games, I guess. And perhaps it's a little bit less aggressive than a phone. You know what's better than a sand timer? A specific timer app for the Sheriff of Nottingham. That's coming to a free store near you with fun little voices and a fun sheriff theme to it. We're making the app, baby. We're making the app. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. Oh, he's talking. He's talking. It loaded. It loaded. This guy just started talking. Oh, okay, now stop. He heard me. If anybody knows how to get in contact with this man, let me know, because I thought I could maybe get in contact with him with WhatsApp through the Wayback Machine. I'd just like to know. I would just like to know. Okay, anyway. For no reason. But yeah, so box bands are going to win no matter what. Sand timers lose in a 3-vote. People almost burnt both of these. They were like, meh, not so good. But box bands win 14 to 11. Everybody wanted to get rid of both for 11 and put something new in versus 3 for the sand timers. We're going to keep moving. But now we have 2 game-specific ones. I guess these aren't really game-specific because you can get them as a huge package. But we have the iron clays, specifically the iron clays from Roxley. This is why, like, these are better than the premium health chips because you can use them for a lot more games. These came in the deluxe version of Brass Birmingham, but you can purchase them separately as well if you just like having poker chips for your money. Or you could just go out and get poker chips as well. Like, that's an option. Just get a bunch of poker chips and then you can use those as standard money denominations. But if you wanted to get specifically Roxley ones, these are so freaking expensive. I mean, they're nice, they're heavy, but they're like premium health chips and you just get more of them. But like, no, thank you. And I don't think you should spend $200 on this, but you could get poker chips is the idea of like, hey, if people hate paper money and they have like a lot of paper money in their games, poker chips can having a set standard of health chip or of poker chip or currency chip might be a nice thing. They're also up against the ceramic bowls for Let's Go to Japan. And people love, this is one of the most talked about, I think, maybe because it's just in the deathmatch and nothing else is, but upgrades for a game. Let's Go to Japan is just a very simple game where you're creating tableaus and planning a trip to Japan. But they decided to add in these like cute branded ceramic bowls to hold your bits, to hold your special tokens and whatever. And this sort of represents, it doesn't have to be the ceramic bowls for Let's Go to Japan, but this represents the idea that people, especially if you have everything in Ziploc bags, people use these as like nice, beautiful, ornamental dishes to put tokens in to up-level their game night. For me, I'm fine with the little bins for everything. I don't need them to look pretty. But if you have just like a set of 4 nice things or a few nice things, and then you can add them to any game, like you have your game and you pour it out and you make it all look nice, right? These are both things that would stay off to the side and be used in either game or in a bunch of different games, which I think is interesting. And it's true, if you have a penchant for upgrading every single currency, maybe just upgrade the currency once and you don't have to have it specific for every game. I think for me, I don't like either of them because the problem for me is that the reason why you have game-specific things is because for me, I like having everything in one box, in one place, right? I travel a lot, and so having it just all stored in the box is better. I like it better for me. So having other things that I have to have on the side and pull out, I just like being able to pull out the one box, play it, and put it away, and just know that I don't need to add in additional things. For me personally, as I like the gameplay flow. I find these might take up a little bit more space on the table than I would want, having a smaller table too, like that's a consideration. But yeah, stuff like Power Grid could use the iron clays. I don't know, this is a close vote. It's a 15 to 13 vote for the winner. But I really wanted to see the ceramic bowls make a run here as a dark horse, but it is the iron clays that move forward into the next round. How much more have we got to talk about? Quite a few. Man, I don't know. It's just exciting to talk about accessories, right? And I'm trying to frame it as well. If you're thinking about getting these things, I like to talk about why I don't use them, so you can see if the people in your life would have those same feelings, and then be less excited to receive some of these things, right? For me, if I got a lot of these things, because I'm really bare bones, I'm very simple, I'd be like, oh, that's nice, but like not a lot would like really, really make me excited, because I'm just like, it's just extra stuff, it's extra fiddle. But that's why I like to highlight the things that would make me personally excited, and the reasons why they would or not. But next up we have a dice tray. There are some really nice branded dice trays as well for specific games. So if you have a game that's like Dice Throne, I'm sure Dice Throne has a lot of branded dice trays, right? And that involves chucking a lot of dice. I've always just used the other side of a board game box if you really need a place to roll your dice, if there isn't any space on the table. But people like having these designated dice trays, and I have one now for Elder Scrolls because of my generous community, and it's nice. It's fun to have. It's fun to have a thing. I've now lined it with a green screen, so I can use it for rolling dice in Iridia and not have things move. But yeah, it's a nice thing. I've never really worried about rolling dice on the table. But if you get annoyed by that, or not, you don't like rolling dice just into your hand, or you find whenever you roll dice it gets everywhere, right? Then having a nice space to specifically chuck those dice into might be helpful. But it's up against a full table playmat, which is a really cool thing. My friend Zach got me one of these as a gift, and he didn't measure the table. He was like, I don't know what size table you have. I'm just going to get you a generic one. And so it isn't long enough to cover the full table, and it's a little bit too wide and kind of hangs over the edge of the table. So just for a different table, but it's still something that we pull out and use. And I really appreciated getting one for filming to have a top down. It kind of adds a ceremony to the game. Or if you were playing a game that doesn't take place on its own board, and there are a lot of card play or whatever, people like a play mat because it helps them pick up the cards. Again, like, I don't really have too many mobility issues with my hands other than my thumb, clearly, but I recognize, like, some people find picking up, if you have bigger fingers or whatever, find picking up cards a little bit more challenging. And so having a surface which has a bit of a spongy surface to it allows a little bit more flexibility or ease of playing. And it's nice. It does give a nice feel to it as well. And you can get a lot of custom playmats too. I'm just happy with the black playmat as well. I find a custom playmat with a huge design sometimes gets a little bit too busy if you are playing with components and you're like, oh, I can't really find the components. So while it seems nice in theory, in practicality, it isn't as nice. It's kind of maybe just better to get the person's favorite color and get a nice playmat for the table. To be able to roll out and roll away, which is nice. And I also have the Elder Scrolls huge playmat as well, which is like one side is very generic and black, and the other side has like outlines where you can put things. But I find that one to be really nice as well. And so I'll go back and forth between the two. I like filming now, I think, more on the black one, the pure black one, because you don't see like Elder Scrolls. If I'm talking about a different game, it's a bit confusing, but that's just like for me personally. Yeah, between these two, I expect a playmat to win. People do love their dice trays though. I don't mind a playmat. I think I would probably go for a playmat over a dice tray in terms of my own excitement or interest. Oh, people are saying I love mine. The busy pattern actually doesn't detract at all. So there are other people who are in the Discord who are saying different from my concerns. So that's great. Yeah, it's a close one, but it's a playmat that moves forward in an 18-14 vote. Dice trays are gone. Now we're moving along to wooden pieces and versus coin capsules. So coin capsules are great. This is what I'm contemplating for when I get Wonderland's War. I don't want to get the upgraded tokens, and so I want to get these coin capsules to see how they work. I've heard that they work well, but I've also heard that they can be annoying, and you should just shell out for the actual things because, dang, Etsy, how much is 60? Okay, so 60 pieces of plastic ones at Amazon is like $20. At that point, you might as well just upgrade your tokens, to be fair. But it's a potential way of being a little bit cheaper. It's up against wooden pieces. So there are a ton. I've highlighted this Wormspan upgrade pack because it was just the first thing that came up. But there are a ton of games where you see them on Kickstarter, and this is the main difference between Deluxe and the retail, is that they add in a bunch of wooden pieces. Now, the thing is, there are ways to get these wooden token packs in other ways. There are Etsy stores that can boost up your resources, right? If you just have a bunch of wood tokens and you want to just get a bunch of little wood tokens, there are ways to get these on Etsy. There are so many different ways to find little silly bits of things. And if you know of those, drop them in the comments down below. YouTube tends to filter out links, but say specifically like, hey, I got some from Etsy, or like Google this search term, and then maybe we can, YouTube won't like delete the link or whatever. But yeah, I think what's also cool, the people have like covered some tokens with resin, which if anybody's worked with resin before, get at me. Because I really need to do that I have a Christmas gift idea for someone, and I need to put something into like a little resin thing that I want to turn into something. But yeah, you see the Finspan upgrade pack, right? The squishy eggs and the wooden tokens. And so just deluxifying your tokens, there's a reason why Everdell looks so good, is because Everdell starts with like a premium, right? And premium tokens do make interacting with the tactile feeling of a board game a ton of fun. So it's the wooden tokens that are going to just destroy the coin capsules right now. Yeah, so someone's saying in the Discord, does anyone ever use coin capsules and thought they were an improvement? I think I'm feeling what anti-sleevers feel right now. They're too bulky. I only used them in like 2 to 3 games before just resorting to finding plastic or metal alternatives. People are saying they've only used coin capsules for things being out of print and the information being hidden, so that the action tokens and forbidden stars. I know some people use them with bag builders, but never played a game where I'd bother with that. Yeah, so it's the wooden pieces that have it, and move on in a 19-6 vote. Next up, we have a music stand taking on board game stats. So a music stand is actually one that I was excited to include, just to include on the list, because it's something that I never thought of until I think Sean in the Discord brought it up, was if you have a music stand, it's a great place to hold rule books for the game. It's off to the side. You can have it open to a page, open to a setup. It's not taking up the space on the table as you're setting up. You don't have to lift it up. You just have that off to the side as a reference. It requires you to have the floor space to have a music stand. Whenever I play games and I pull out the table, it's like a little bit of a smaller space. And so I don't necessarily have the space to have a music stand on the side, so we just kind of deal with it. But I have like other chairs that I put things on, so I could just move the chair. You can just move the chair. So I thought that was a really cool idea, to have a music stand, or one that's, you know, lightweight, easy to pull up. I had one of these when I was playing guitar, or trying to learn guitar rather, or when I was, I don't know, I had it once. I used to play violin too, but I don't play that anymore. But I find this one that doesn't have a specific back, while it's good because it's more compact, I find it a lot more annoying to put sheet music or things on top of it. So I'm only operating really from a sheet music perspective, but I think having something that has a back would be potentially the way to go. But it's up against BGStats. If you don't have board game stats, it's good. It's really good. It's like $6, right? And it's really fun. I started with BGStats when I started my YouTube channel, because I wanted to have statistics. I wanted to be able to make videos upon things. But I really like a few things about BGStats, is because like I can check, oh, when was the last time I actually played that game? And I can look through, I'm like, dang, I played that last like 2023. It's been 2 years since I played insert X game. That's nuts. So that's kind of a fun thing. And I used to feel weird about logging my scores, because generally I win games that I play. And it initially felt like a braggy show sort of thing, like let me record how much I beat you by sort of deal. But I really like having a reference of scores, because then people who I play with again I can say, hey, this is your best score, right? Or I can say to new people, I can say, hey, the average winning score is this. So when they are playing the game and they don't know, should I be going for 50 points? Should I be going for 200 points? It's helpful to have those data points. And the other thing that I really need to be more diligent about with BGStats is it has a timer on it. So you can set up your play and you can hit the timer, and then you can see, again, if you go back, you can be like, how long did it take to play this game? How long does it take on average to play this game? And that's great data, because you often get to the end of a night and you're like, oh, I only have an hour left, or I have to leave in an hour. What plays in an hour? And you're like, I think this does. And then it plays in 80 minutes and the person's like stressed for time, or you have to have them leave or whatever. And so having these little data set points, I find, are really helpful for board gaming and for playing with people. Yeah, and I'm going to a contract with somebody who I did it in 2022. And so I was able to look up their name, because we found out we were doing the same contract, we're doing Christmas Carol together. And I looked up, I was like, oh, what did Melissa play? Melissa, she was like, oh, you know what I like? I was like, I don't remember. But I was able to go back and I was able to look up and be like, oh, you played these things. And I remember you enjoying playing all of those things, which I think is really helpful and great data if you are going to see people pretty infrequently. So yeah, I really like BGStats. BGStats is going to beat a music stand for sure. There are also these additional challenges that you can have in it as well. It's a great app and it's super cheap. So yeah, moves on to the next round. The next round, this is just going to be an auto move forward, I think, because Chwazi is just like, it chooses first player. All right, I never really care to pull out Chwazi. I just say like, you go first. Rock, paper, scissors. Like it takes more effort for me to get this thing on the phone to choose the first player than to warrant downloading it. So I'm just going to tell you that it's out of the competition right now. But it was up against board overlays, which I think is also another great idea if you know people who love specific games but their player trays or things aren't dual layered. Dual layered is becoming more of the standard in board gaming, but specifically something like Terraforming Mars, right? People complain all the time about how like the cubes can be pushed off the table or whatever. And it's very easy, and it's annoying when things move and you're trying to track things. And so if you have any games like this, like Terraforming Mars, or games that don't have that dual layered, you can go to Etsy and you can potentially get, or if you had a 3D printer, you could print them. You could get those 3D those overlays for boards for the for the specific game. And I think that would be a really nice upgrade if you're looking for somebody who loves specific games where you might need these board overlays. And so a good way to do it if you're looking for a Christmas gift is if you know somebody like who has a game that they love, just search that game board overlays, and then it'll pop up. Even if you don't know anything about the game, if you've never played it before, something will pop up and see if it is worth getting or not. Might be a cool Christmas gift. Okay, the next one that we're going on, the next battle, yeah, board overlays 125 to 4. The next one we're having is game-specific playmats versus the bits bins. These are the bins that I love. Don't ever get them anywhere other than the Dollar Tree. People will try to sell them to you on Amazon for freaking stupid amounts. They're like, oh, sell it for $16.33 for all these little containers. You get them for literally $1. $1 for 10 containers at the Dollar Tree. This is the ultimate board game upgrade. I'm serious. These are so perfect. If you have a Dollar Tree near you, go and buy them all. I'm out of them right now, and so I'm going, after I film this video, I am going out to the Dollar Tree to make sure that I can stock back up, and I'm going to get like 50 or maybe 100 of them. Literally, just so that I have them, and so I have them to give to other people. When I'm pulling out a game that has like a bunch of different resources, boom, plop them in. Love it. I have like 10 of them in my Voidfall, because I have one for every individual ship and things. And then you just pull them all out, pull off the lids, and then you have it all set up. Boom, it's awesome. It's up against playmats, game-specific playmats. So I brought up the Rising Sun playmat. There are a lot of games that will replace the board with a playmat. So if you have a lot of interaction on the board, they kind of take this as, instead of like a table playmat, they're just making the board a playmat, and they'll sometimes make it larger. This is the only thing that I don't have for Rising Sun. Rising Sun is my favorite game of all time. This is also the thing that Colin doesn't have for Rising Sun as well. And I have half a mind to try to get one, because then I can then I can pull it out and say my copy's better than your copy. Because for the longest time he had metal coins for Rising Sun and I didn't. And he kept on saying, well, my copy's better than your copy. And so now that's a competition. And so that would be the only reason why I would ever get this playmat. And because it's my favorite game. It was, and also you're never going to find it now, because it was originally $30. You know, that's fine. And then people now know that it's exclusive, and so they're selling it for like $225. Oh, look, that one's only 100 US. So a $70 uptick. Get out of here. But there are a lot of playmat, like game specific playmats. Even just generic ones, like I have this one. I forgot that I had this one, honestly, until just right now. I have this one, which is an Attack on Titan playmat, but it's from Universus. That's from the Universus card system. And it's a bit weird because you'd think that there would be, like, there are slots where you should be playing your cards up here, and you'd think it would be outlined. They just decided, no, we're just going to give you cool art. So if you have a game that, like, is a card game that you maybe like a specific IP or whatever, like Hanji and Levi and Irwin just having a drink, there's a potential to get, like, a bunch of different playmats to put things on, kind of create a space for where you're going to be putting your cards down. I think it's a bit harder to determine when they're usable and when they're not. Yeah, it's a potential for sure. I'm happy to report, though, that the bits bins are the ones that win, which makes me so happy, because with the individual playmats, they often don't fit in the box too. So I have some for Earth, though. I got some from Earth for WSBG, and they rolled up. They do fit in the box, which I really like. And I got them to be able to show off when I do tournaments or whatever. And there, I'll look them up. Earth playmat. And so something for like a card game where you're playing like Rising Sun, or sorry, where you're playing something like Earth, where you're building a tableau of cards. Let's see if the WSBG one is on here. I could just go get it, but I don't want to open my bag. They made specific ones for WSBG, exclusive to WSBG, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, having, again, specific things for the specific games that people love. If you don't love Earth, you shouldn't get it. But if like Earth is your favorite game, it might be fun to up level that. Okay, we're very close. We're very close to the end. I really expected this to take me the least amount of time. It's taken me maybe the most. But next up, we have an interesting one. We have the player $65. Are you kidding me? There's 5 of them. There's 5 of them. We have the player pieces, the metal playing pieces for Molly House, taking on snacks. What's the best way to upgrade your board game night? Have a bunch of snacks. Not Cheetos. Have a bunch of snacks with chopsticks if you're worried about getting dust on your games. Or taking on the metal player piece. I'm going to play with these. They're chunky. They're solid metal. And they're designed and they're etched. Like, you can get so many cool deluxifications for your games, right? This is sort of a stand-in for any player piece that you could just like, oh, make so delicious to interact with. And these definitely do that. They're so expensive and I would never buy them. But if like Molly House were your favorite game, this could be a really cool upgrade, right? Again, focusing on game-specific upgrades, these upgrading things to metal, like specific metal pieces, or metal coins or something like that. Those are often decent upgrades for someone's specific game to show that you care. And I think that's really nice, but it can't beat snacks. It can't beat snacks. Snacks are going to win, again, because people were taking it very literally and being like, well, I don't have Molly House. I can't vote for that. I'm like, okay, just like in the hypothetical, though. And it's what it represents, which is what we're voting on. But it's snacks that move forward in a 15-8 vote. And finally, we have our last one. The last one to upgrade your game experience is a Teachers Wanted or a Players Needed flag, taking on, you guessed it, Bounce Off. Because here's the thing. The best thing about Bounce Off is, yes, wait a minute, it's going down. It was in the 14,000s, wasn't it, before? When we looked at it? Come on, people. The best thing about Bounce Off is that you can incorporate it into any game. What I really like about Bounce Off's versatility is I put it in every game I play. If you're having a battle and you're supposed to roll dice, no. Throw balls in the grid as a Bounce Off. Make it a dexterity element, right? Don't like the loan mechanism in Brass? Well, see if you can make your Bounce Off shot, then you get your loan. If you don't, you don't. You find the power grid to be too mathy, eliminate the math entirely and bounce your balls into a literal grid. Bounce Off can be incorporated into any game, really. It's a simple system. It elevates every single game that it's in. Unfortunately, and the reason why it will be disqualified from this competition is because it just becomes too fun. It becomes too fun. And people then just keep playing Bounce Off and they forget about the game entirely, and then they push the rest of the game off the table, and you're like, no, I wanted to play a game of Azul. And they're like, well, too bad we're playing Bounce Off, and screw your copy of Azul, and then they step on it and they push you down. And then they just play your copy of Bounce Off. And then you try to play the copy of Bounce Off with them because you're like, okay, well, I'll take what I can get. It's board game night, and I want to play. And they're saying, sorry, there's no room for you. And they push you down, and they make you sit in the box of Azul. And you're like, I'm not Professor Mag. I don't fit. And they're like, well, you sit there and you watch. And then they bounce the balls at you, and they bounce them into your mouth, and then you choke on them a little, and they say, we're the best Bounce Off players in the world. And then they take your copy of Bounce Off. And then they leave because they were only with you to play Bounce Off, because Bounce Off is the clear pinnacle of your collection, and it's the only reason people come over, which is a bonus. It's a bonus. It gets people over to your house. It gets people over to your house so you're not so lonely, but it also will inevitably result in that happening if you incorporate it into any other game. So it's better to save it as like the carrot at the end of the night, or maybe like then you run out of time, and then maybe we ran out of time. I'm so sorry. Well, but if you come back tomorrow, then maybe we'll play Bounce Off, and then you can have that just to encourage them to come back to you, which is nice. Because then they keep coming back, which is the only way that people will keep coming back to your house. So it's a catch-22, but I think in terms of it elevating a specific board game. Oh my God, he's talking again. Anyway, the all play guy, the real all play guy, Nasty Chris. Broke me out of my Bounce Off stupor, which is good. I'm sorry. I went to check the new ratings, and there are the heroes, out there, like Dr. Penguin, and then we have Hextra, who's promoting this dice flick. What is this nonsense? What is this IP cash grab? Flicking dice into a grid? Are you insane? Who hurt you, Hextra? I thought this is really bad for the video because the bounce off replacement, as it has been set down, is actually Hextra, because Hextra makes a lot of really nice inserts, and I wanted to take this opportunity to like shout out some people in the Discord who have put in a lot of time and effort and should be rewarded for those efforts. And then I see this, a 1 rating, and it really makes it a lot harder to continue with this video. Hextra, who the Uprising made an Uprising bunch of fan insert stuff for them, and then they're using it in their game, which is cool in their new edition. And that's what I was gonna celebrate. And so while Hextra does get, this is perhaps the worst thing to ever happen to me. I've sat here in silence for like 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes, being like, you know what we're gonna do? Hextra's not moving on to the next round. Someone's moving on to the next round, but it certainly ain't gonna be Hextra. A bounce off is not in it. The teachers wanted flags. I mean, it's really good to have in conventions. If you're ever having a convention or a large meetup group, it's great to have like a players wanted symbol to call to people, hey, like there's spots open in the game. I think it makes it to be really friendly, but it's going to be used very circumstantially. Hextra's also out of here, and he's going to be replaced by somebody better. Someone who makes better inserts than him. Next up, okay, we've made it through all of them. Now we can just blaze through the results. We've talked enough about them. We'll blaze through the results. We'll see how the votes shake out, and we'll get to the end. We have a Laminator taking on metal coins. We haven't talked about metal coins, but you can add metal coins for any game similar to the Iron Clays. But a lot of games have ways to upgrade their specific coins to metal. So this is Libertalia. It looks like Rising Sun. I now have the metal coins for those. There are lots of ways to make generic coins into metal coins, and especially if you're like shifting things around, you feel like a little bit like a pirate. It's nice. It is a nice upgrade. People like them in their products, and so it's going to knock the Laminator out undeniably in like a 25-5 vote. Oh, Speedpaints died, but we now have a 3D printer taking on a board game bag, which could be the finals to me. I know a lot of people are going to vote for the 3D printer. I think the board game bag is my number one, still my number one deluxification as it comes through. And so looking back now, there's a few more votes. It's like 23, 28. Oh no, that was previous. It was 28-5 for the Laminator. It's 23-14 for the 3D printer looking back now. Again, board game bags would be my number one thing if you're looking to get somebody something. I really, really like mine. But it is the 3D printer that moves forward in a solid 23-14 vote. 20-14 when it was called. And unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to both BoardGameTables.com and...
Not really sure. Probably it's best to try out their idea.
They just added a word? Try out their idea? I want to see, what was he asking? What was he asking for? Like, we've got 2017. We've got captures from 2017. I usually go to 2022. So let's see what he was doing in 2017. If he was still there, like how long has he been sitting on it? I don't think he has been. No, I think he scooped it up. I think he scooped up the site as soon as he was like, he's probably a board gamer and he's like, oh, I can make a lot of money off of BoardGameTables.com. But anyway, that's gone. Next up, we have screen printed Meeples taking on card sleeves as what is a better deluxification. For me, obviously, I don't like sleeves, so I would go with the screen printed Meeples. I think there's a lot of fun that you can have here with screen printed Meeples, but for the majority of people are, I think those who bridge shuffle is just a horrid way of shuffling, and no one should ever do it. That's when you crank half of the cards and you just like slap them together. And so yeah, that's why people like mass shuffling with sleeves. But if you do a gentle like corner shuffle, then it's just like a riffle shuffle. Riffle shuffle is different than bridge shuffle, right? Let's get that very clear. Bridge shuffle breaks cards, riffle shuffle does not. But it doesn't matter. The screen printed is out. People love their card sleeves because they like that protection. And I can't say anything against protection. It's card sleeves that moves on in a 19-9 vote. So a pretty dominant win there for card sleeves. Kallax versus box bands. this is going to be a pretty dominant win for Kallax, I would think. Yeah, I see even more votes for the Kallax after the fact, but when they won, it was a 19-5 vote. Again, I find box bands to look a little bit ugly, and I don't really need them for a lot of games, but I do see the merit if you have a game that's constantly opening up and spilling out. Yeah, get a box band for sure. But Kallax is just, it's so nice to be able to display stuff on your shelves, which is nice. We have the iron clays versus the table playmat. I wasn't really sure how this was going to go. I thought people might vote for the iron clays, honestly, because I know how much people love their premium money substitutions, whereas the metal coins are game specific. Iron clays are sort of generic here, but it's really not a close vote at all. It's the table playmat gets the vote in a 29-8 vote, which I thought the iron clays were going to put up a little bit more of a fight, but they certainly did not, and they're eliminated from the competition. Next up, we have wooden pieces versus BGStats. I think it was nice to shout out BGStats, but it's very clear that wooden pieces are going to move on here. They're just the better thing, and so they do move forward in a 24-10 vote, having nice upgraded components for your games. That's probably going to be one of the contenders that'll move pretty far in this competition. Next up, we have the board overlays taking on the Dollar Tree bins, and I expected board overlays to win here. I didn't expect the bins to keep on going on their miracle run, because everybody in my Discord, the reason why they've signed up for Patreon, it's Patreon only Discord. The reason why a lot of people sign up for Patreon is because I talk you out of making large purchases. However, I've now put all of the deluxeified people in one room, and it's really not a good place if you want to save money, which is a horror. I try to keep up the fight, but I fail miserably consistently. And so I wasn't expecting these Dollar Tree bins to make it out of the first round, because I expected they would be poo-pooed, but they're so freaking good. And they do destroy the overlays as well for the game-specific overlays. It's much better to have bins. Again, just having a little bin for your resources, it's perfect. It does what the ceramic bowls do, but you can keep them in the box, which is even better. And then finally, we have snacks versus an actual gentleman of printing. Unlike he who shall not be named no longer, we have the great insert designs by JS500, level 19 over on Printables, taking on snacks. Well, you know who's the real snack? JS500. Yeah, that's the real snack, in my opinion. The reason why I actually want to highlight insert makers, other than he who shall not be named, but yeah, there are so many people, and they all live in my Discord, who are making amazing 3D printed insert design. And a insert for a game to help it get to the table is amazing. It's so good. It helps you improve upon storage. It helps improve upon setup time. It's just awesome, right? It takes away all the need for other bins and bags and whatever, and a great insert, which, like, people spend so much time refining. They are at your fingertips. They're able to be printed by people who have 3D printers, or you can order them often on Etsy. I think, like, a good insert for a game is so good, and there are a huge community of people who are creating these things and sharing these things and sharing their hard work that they actually put so much work into, and just sharing them with people so that everyone else can get it to the table. And so JS500 is an awesome person who I've played games with in real life, and it's friggin' wicked. It is so talented. And so I wanted to shout him out in this section about insert designers. And of course, the community votes to send the insert designers forward over snacks. Although I understand people getting confused, because again, let me be clear, this is the real snack. So we're over to here. We have metal coins taking on 3D printers. They keep on getting tougher and tougher here. Whoa! When I look back now, it's tied. It's tied. Wow, it's tied now, but when I called the vote, it wasn't. It might have gone in a different direction between these two. It was 15-12 for one of these two, and now it's 15-15 in the tie. But it is the 3D printer crowd that got it moving forward first. I expected metal coins to maybe move forward, especially when we shifted and revealed, like, the inserts themselves in the 3D printer community on the other side of the bracket, I kind of expected people to go like, oh, well, that's where we'll put our 3D printer votes as well. But they don't. They want the exact 3D printer. They want you to develop a new hobby for your hobby. And metal coins are out in a 15 to 12 vote. Next up, we have card sleeves taking on a Kallax shelf. Two major hitters here as well in terms of things to get. Storage versus safety is essentially the competition that we're having right here. And it is the Kallax shelf that moves forward in an 18 to 16 vote. Card sleeves do not stand up to the power of organization in the Kallax. The Kallax moves forward. On the other side of the table, we have the table mat taking on the wooden pieces. Which I think is also an interesting question. I would imagine the wooden pieces would move forward here. I think those deluxifications are a lot more interesting. It's, again, if I'm looking back, it's tied. It's tied right now. But when I called the vote, it was 20 to 11. You can see how close these things are and how, like, great a choice either of them could be. But it is the table mat that moves forward in a 20 to 11 vote. And then we have the bins taking on, what? This isn't JS 500. No, it's Duma! Duma's here with all the different models for the inserts. The How to Save a World Deluxe insert, some strategy stands, an oversized playmat adapter for vinyl roll holders, Cthulhu Death May Die insert through Season 4. Duma is another incredibly awesome member of the Room and Board community. They've been a patron since I opened up the Patreon. I've also had the great pleasure of meeting them and hanging out and playing games with them in person. And yeah, also has some wicked designs, 3D printing your own inserts, or for optimizing setup and storage. I am, even as somebody who hasn't gotten their 3D printer out yet, but who makes another patron of mine, George, print things for me now more frequently. I can recognize the value of all of these things, right? Little holders for the poker chips, just getting things easily set up. There are so many things and there's so much generosity that the community is bringing forward in terms of sharing their designs and sharing ideas and tweaking things. Duma is awesome. He's an awesome guy as well. Same with JS500. I can't say the same about Hextra. But yeah, just awesome person sharing, again, his creativity and talent. And yes, unfortunately, as much as I love the Dollar Tree bins, oh, it's close. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. I do love my Dollar Tree bins, but I love the community members who are bringing things forward. So yeah, it's Duma that moves on into the quarterfinals. So we have our semifinals. The semifinals, we have the 3D printer taking on the Kallax shelves. I think I expected it to be metal coins taking on Kallax shelves, but we got 3D printer taking on Kallax shelves. It's not even really a competition at this point. It's a 21 to 11 vote for one of these things. If you want to guess, make your guess right now. Yes, it is the 3D printer that moves on in a 21 to 11 vote. And on the other side of the table, on the side of it, we have the table playmat taking on NCC 1701 JV. James, the Spooky. Again, we know the merits of the table playmat. It's a really nice thing. I want to shout out again James, who learned to 3D print through participating in the Room and Board community. Everybody helped him, and now he's on creating his own inserts, helping remix other inserts. I got to see the Praga. Where's your Praga one? Oh yeah. Or no, I saw the. Oh, I would have seen both. I saw the Praga one in person, and I saw the Darwin's Journey one in person. Did you design Darwin's Journey, or did you just print it out? I think you just printed it out from someone else. But that's also amazing. Like, you know that there are so many. Again, another key member contributing to sharing the love of this hobby. And yeah, I've also gotten to play games with James in person as well, which has been awesome. And unfortunately, the table playmat gets crushed underneath the weight of community-driven inserts. So we have our 3D printer on one side of the bracket, which made its all way through. And you can tell that there's a lot of love for 3D printing in the Room and Board community. But on the other side of the bracket, the weaker members, and JS500, Duma, James, but I also want to shout out everybody who has participated in posting their links in the Room and Board Discord. I am including links to all of these people and all of their work down in the comments below. If you know someone with a 3D printer, they can print these things out. There are often Etsy stores who can print out things for you as well. But what I think is awesome, so we have Dwayneski, or Duaneski if you're nasty. We have Fletch. I was like, Fletch, is this you? So nice name change there, Fletch. We have Love Has No Logic. We have Vault Boy, and I honestly don't know if this is in our Discord or not, because they don't have the same name, but they shared it in the links. So I tried to pick the people who were creating their own stuff, but I'll update it if I have more like Room and Board community members who have their own designs that they want to share. Here's the thing. You know what people ask for around Christmas? The number one. This was my number 0 in the previous video. And I'm coming back to you for this. It's time. Is what it is. People ask for time. People ask for your time to play games with them, to share quality time together, meaningfully connect over the thing that we are all supremely passionate about. And that, to me, is the greatest gift. And it is also what all of these people have given you. They have given you their time in terms of making more efficient game setup. So you spend less time setting up the game, you spend more time playing the game. This is the ad that all insert companies should use. But is that you can save yourself time. Like that is the gift to be giving. That is the best upgrade to your games, is getting to play them more. And getting to play them in super efficient ways. And yeah, I just think it's awesome. I think everybody who, I mean, like we've got a great community here. I feel so blessed to have an amazing Patreon community. And so I do want this video to really be, half recommendations, but half a love letter to all of them, because they're all friggin' awesome people, like who I adore and would die for. I think this sort of represents that idea of time, it represents people who don't have to share these things, right? But share them freely and like to share that's about the hobby, to help other people enjoy the hobby to a fuller extent. And so while the 3D printer did make it to the finals, I think a 3D printer is awful. I don't ever want one. I don't think you should get one for a gamer. But if you do, at least all of these people who are providing resources freely, who are helping each other get better, and who are helping push the board gaming hobby forward, they're awesome. And so, like, all their links are down below. I'm sure there are a ton of other great insert makers as well, but these are the insert makers who I see their work personally, and I hear their discussions. And even if I don't understand kind of what they're discussing, I still am like reading it and interested in it. And yeah, they're just awesome. You know what wins this deathmatch? It's time. Time wins. The Room and Board community wins. And yeah, I just think there's a lot of really cool people out there. The cool people, the community members, people who unabashedly help create this board gaming community that we know and love, are the people, are the real reason, are the best thing to add to your games. Just full stop. Full stop. That's it. No jokes. No jokes. Just sincerity, you little son. Oh wait, no, I'm getting into it. Dang it. Oh, I was so close. I was so close. Thanks everybody for watching. If you want to participate in these deathly day matches, yes, that's what I was going to say. In these daily death matches, monthly death matches, you can participate by signing up for the Room Board Patreon. But as always, I'll always include these recap videos every month for the people who can't afford a couple bucks a month to join the Patreon and support the channel. But if you want to, we have a cool community. And again, like, I'm not trying to like, it's weird coming after that really nice thing. I'm not like trying to monetize my community. That's not what I want. I'll kick you out if you're weird. But like, yeah, I like my community a lot. I think you're all awesome, and it's really been cool to have like-minded people and just have such generous, amazing individuals to hang out with. So if you want to be part of that, and if you're one of those people, well, you can sign up for Patreon down below for a couple bucks a month. And if not, well, that's okay too. Because we also have a YouTube community here, which I also love seeing you in the comments. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday season upcoming. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. And drop your own suggestions for additional things to upgrade your board game deluxifications down below. I think that'd be pretty cool. Thanks for being here. My name is Chris George, in case you forgot. And oh no, I don't have a catchphrase. Oh, and I'm probably never gonna open that 3D printed box, but it's in my closet. It's right. You look if you want to know where it is. It's right over there.